Well, hi everyone. I'm James. I'm the guy in the photo there. This photo that clearly wasn't staged. That's how I looked for the whole race. And yeah, I'm basically here to kind of tell you what I did last summer, which was run across America. But just a bit of a kind of introduction as to me. I've been running for about like 7 years or so, doing ultramarathons for about 5. I'm a member of a big running club in London called the Serpentine, and yeah, kind of really enjoying running with them, basically. So about 1.5 years ago, I was having a conversation online with a friend of mine who sent me details of his next challenge, which was this. I had to pay for spending too much time on the internet talking to strange people. But this was sent to me by a friend of mine called Mark Cockbain, who is, I don't know if any of you guys have heard of him, but he's quite a legend in UK ultra running, and he this was going to be the next big thing he's done after all the big things that he'd done before. And I looked at that and I thought, nah, that looks too stupid. But they had a separate race on at the same time, which was 300 miles from LA to Las Vegas. And I thought, well, that sounds good, that sounds good. 300 miles in a week, that's still a lot of miles in a week, isn't it? That's more than I've done before. And I could go out there and run with him and then maybe support him for the next few weeks or something like that. I thought he'd be quite pleased with my suggestion. And so, talking to him about it one day, I kind of said, hey Mark, I might come out and run the first week of that Trans USA race with you. And his response, don't know if you can read that. Don't be such a pussy, do the whole thing. And it's only hanging around people like that where you get called a pussy for only wanting to run 300 miles through a desert in 1 week. But I took the bait and I signed up. I was actually the first to sign up. I took the day off. Well, I had a working from home day, and went to the bank as soon as the entries were open and transferred a lot of money to some people I didn't know who they were. I was probably kind of at that moment quite ripe for just being a victim of a scam. But yeah, I signed up for it just over 1 year ago and started to get really excited about it. But before you ask, I know you're all thinking the same question. This is the number one question that I'm asked about this. 8 pairs. 8 pairs of shoes I got through doing this. I basically just wore them into the ground each time, and then basically changed when my feet were coming out of the other end. And some other kind of questions I get asked is, I didn't run this with any kind of sponsorship or with any charity. I just paid for it all myself out of what was quite a fortunate voluntary redundancy from my old work, something that I worked quite hard on, making myself look as useless as possible for about 6 months, something that I excelled at. So we started in California, in LA, and we had a fairly low-key start. No one was really around to watch us start. I think I've put these in the wrong order. There we go, that's the actual start line. So 14 runners from all different countries. Mark ended up not being able to run. He got injured just before, and that was quite sad for me. But yes, exactly. It didn't seem fair that he's the one who got me into this, and then he didn't come out with me. Well, loads of the guys started the race. And these guys had like impressive CVs. I mean, I thought I'd done quite a lot of big runs. I've done the Spartathlon a couple of times, which is 150 miles in Greece. I've done the Badwater race, the UTMB, Marathon des Sables, Grand Union Canal, all that kind of thing. Thinking, I've got some form. These guys two of them had run from Paris to Tokyo. This guy, Alex, on the end, has rowed across several oceans. Yeah, I looked pretty pedestrian amongst those lot. That's kind of leaving LA and kind of heading into the desert. Saw lots of strange things out when in the desert, such as this funky-looking jail. Running through California, we ran through the kind of Mojave Desert, which is one of the hottest places on the planet, basically. It was well over, it was about 45 degrees each day, and I was out there for about 12 hours a day in this kind of heat. But oddly, I seemed to do quite well in the heat. I hadn't done any heat training at all. I had these ideas, I'm going to go to Bikram yoga, and I'm going to put a treadmill in a sauna and wear a boiler suit and all that kind of stuff, and I didn't do any of it. But yet, I seemed to do fairly well. Alex, the Italian guy, on kind of watching me run in the heat, he said, James, he says, you are from London, you should run like a penguin, yet you run like a Kenyan. It's the first and only time that anyone's ever compared my running to that of a Kenyan. It certainly wasn't the first time someone's compared my running to that of a penguin. This is Laurie. She supported me for the first 6 days of the race. The organisers made it compulsory to have a support crew for the first 2 weeks because of the heat. Laurie crewed for me at Badwater the previous year, and she lives in LA, and she was fantastic to have around. I was really, really pleased when she said yes to kind of help me cross California. Arizona was beautiful, but again, very hot, very, very hilly. In the first 2 states, California and Arizona, of the 14 people who had started, 6 have dropped out. They dropped out mainly like heat-related reasons, heat exhaustion and kind of things related to that. One had to go to hospital with infected blisters. Yeah, that wasn't pleasant looking at his feet. This is Leslie. This is Leslie and Dave. I think Dave's on the next one. Yep. Shooting Surge with a kind of water pistol. These guys were fantastic. I had no idea who they were before I went out there. They live in Phoenix. It was on a website, Fetch Everyone, that my girlfriend Gemma, who's here, kind of approached them to say that I don't have support for these 2 days. I didn't manage to get that, and they drove up from Phoenix to come and crew me for 2 days, which is fantastic. I say I didn't know these guys at all, and yet they were just willing to give up their time and drive 400 miles each way to come and crew me through Arizona. There was quite a lot of old, like, Wild West kind of towns in Arizona, which was fantastic. And this is kind of Route 66, which we kind of followed up until almost Chicago. We didn't follow it all the time, but that was kind of the general route. There's a big map there if anyone wants to have a look at the exact route. These guys here, this is Deb, and this is Dave, and these guys crewed for me at Badwater last year as well. They live in California, and they're absolutely nuts. And it was fantastic having those guys. New Mexico. I don't know if anyone here might have read my blog that I was trying to keep up doing every day while I was out there, but I had a bit of a blackout in New Mexico for a couple of reasons. One, there was kind of no internet or phone or anything like that, but mainly because I thought I was going to die. Basically, I got food. It was still very hot, and I got food poisoning. I'd kind of eaten some kind of steak that had been left out a bit. Probably shouldn't have eaten it, and not long after I eaten it, I felt like someone was punching me in the stomach. And then I had what was possibly the worst 4 days of my life. trying to run through New Mexico, not really being able to eat or drink or take on any energy. Everything, I don't need to go into detail, but everything that went in me came out me quite quickly out of various places. And that's kind of where I kind of lost hope. I thought, this was where it's going to end. I'd run, I guess, about 600 or 700 miles at that point. I was into the third week, and although I wasn't kind of going to actually quit, I thought there was a good chance I might just collapse and get kind of picked up in an ambulance or something. I was in a pretty bad way. The organisers, I kind of felt quite bad for the organisers that because they had to kind of hang back and kind of make sure I was okay, and everyone else was so far ahead, and it was kind of causing trouble with their own organisation, as you can kind of imagine, if someone is just so far behind. So I was tempted sometimes to think, oh, should I just drop out just so everyone else can have a good race? But I hung in there. This is Bando. This is a Japanese guy who he'll never really understand, but he probably turned my race around. There was a point where I was kind of at my lowest, and he just came along to me and he started spraying me with water, and he was just kind of running around me saying, come on, we'll go to New York together. And he goes, I'll sing for you. And he started singing. I suggest he sings I Get By With a Little Help from My Friends by the Beatles. He goes, he said, I don't know the tune, so I tried to hum the tune, and then he tried to hum the tune, and then he started singing a song he didn't know the words or the tune to, and he wasn't very good at speaking English. And that just kind of turned it around for me. I think I just kind of wept when he did that, but I thought, I've just lived through one of the best moments of my life, and that was just kind of one of those unpredictable moments that were just absolute gold. And from then I got better. That night I went to hospital because the organisers were a bit concerned that 4 days now I'd had this diarrhea, and she was a bit worried that it might be bacterial or something. It wasn't. It was fine. But that's when I sent a text message to Gemma as soon as I got reception, and it's a funny thing. I tried to kind of keep her at arm's length from this race. I didn't really want her there. I thought, no, it's okay. I'll do it myself. And then even about a week before, she said, oh, I can still come out and kind of support you through like a week in the middle. And I was like, no, you don't need to. I'm fine. And then I just sent a text, can you just come out here, please? And yeah, kind of about a week later, she kind of booked a flight then, but about a week later, she was there. This was the highest point of the race. What was that? Kind of 9,000 meters? No, something like that. So all downhill from there. 1,000 miles done. But yeah, I got much better, and then I started to enjoy myself again. Now that I've got you here, I thought I'd give you a quick lecture on nutrition. We had to basically just eat what we could get, and I didn't have my own dedicated support group for most of it, so I didn't have the kind of the protein milkshakes and this, that, the other, and I just ate wherever I could find. And there's a lot of these places out in the USA, as you probably know, and I stopped in most of them. The total McDonald's count was actually only 43 for the summer, which is okay. I was burning probably about 8,000 calories a day from the running, averaging 45 miles a day, and I was just losing weight constantly. I lost 2 stone in the race, which you'll be pleased to hear I've put that all back on. That didn't stay off for long. This was quite baggy when presented to me in New York. It's now quite a snug fit, this kind of finisher's t-shirt. And then into Oklahoma, and they were suffering in Oklahoma their driest summer for 117 years. It's absolutely crazy, we thought. By the time we got here, although it would still be warm, we weren't in the deserts anymore, so it shouldn't be too hot, but actually it was just as hot as it was in the desert. And the roads were dead straight, and it was just so psychologically tormenting, running down these straight roads in desert type temperatures. This was my mascot, the badger. He's here, I think. Yep, first ever badger to cross the States. He goes on about it all the time. The official advice from the governor of California, of Oklahoma, about the heat wave was this. Yes, I hope he doesn't get paid that much for coming up with that one. But this Oklahoma was amazing. We were going through some towns where no one was out, and people would just stop and ask us, "What are you doing?" "Oh, we're running from LA to New York," and they said, "We shouldn't be doing that today. It's hot." It's like, well, I'm not doing all of it today. It takes a bit longer than that. Here's Gemma. She came to run with me for about a week, which was really, really nice to have her there. I treated her to some lovely motels, such as this one. Remember that? That was.
Poor Husker.
Yeah, poor Husker. That was the shower with the brown whatever coming out of it. So this is kind of this is at the start of one day. One of the things that was the hardest wasn't the actual running. It was kind of trying to keep up with a routine of not having any time at all. It was, when I first signed up for this race, I thought, it'd just be some kind of holiday camp, like in American Pie or something, where we'll spend a few hours of the day running and then we'll all just go to a party and everything will be brilliant. And in actual fact, it was 12 hours of slog each day, and then just so tired that walking across the road to find a restaurant or something was just so stressful. Not sleeping properly. I didn't really sleep very well at all in the first half of the race. I was, in my head, running in my head a lot, just thinking of the road, the white line, just going along, and then waking up thinking, oh, I thought I'd done 20 miles today, I've done nothing. Got to do that all again. And it felt like I'd been cheated out of some miles that I dreamt that I run. It rained once in Oklahoma. That was one of the most fantastic parts of the whole race. I immediately started prancing around like I was in Westlife or something. And then at the end of Oklahoma, Gemma left. That was quite hard. But I was halfway just after that point. This is a statue of Andy Payne. He won the first race across America, which was held in 1928, and I can't imagine how hard it would have been then. Route 66 wasn't even built. It was like a trail road, and they had no blogs or Facebook or anything like that. It was hard to imagine him being able to run at the pace that he did, which was, I recommend reading a book called The Bunyan Derby. The pace that he ran at, I'm not sure whether anyone in the world could do that now. It was amazing. And this chap on the right is Russell Secker. He's actually doing one of these talks in March, and he lives in Oklahoma, and he came out to help me basically. The first time I saw him, he'd come with a Subway that he got exactly how I wanted it. He'd spoken to Gemma beforehand about how I like my Subway, so that when he kind of met me in the middle of nowhere in Oklahoma, he could give me this sandwich, and got it exactly right. No sweet corn. Who the hell puts sweet corn in a sandwich? It's just sick. Excuse me. Missouri. Whenever we spoke to anyone in the States about what we were doing or where we were going, you mention the state, and there's always something that will kill you there. So California, it's the heat that will kill you. Arizona, it was the climbing. Mexico, I can't remember what it was. Oklahoma, I think, was the wind. It's like, when are we going to go to a state which is where they'll say, you know what, it's really nice there, you'll enjoy running through there. Every single state had something that was out to kill us. But Missouri was really hard. The heat dropped a bit. There was still this heat wave that we were reassured by the people who would tell us, it's okay, it's slowly moving east. And I thought, well, we are slowly moving east as well. It was pacing us across America, this heat wave. But in Missouri, we had the first trees I'd seen in about a month, and they caused horrible humidity. And in conjunction with that, these roads, we had to run on one side of the road for safety, and often the camber of the road was quite severe. And I think this is what caused most of my injuries, was this kind of, you know, one foot doing, one side of the body doing more than the other. And that was really tough. The organizer, the French lady, pronounced Missouri as misery, which I thought was quite funny. This is the Japanese guy, Mr. Kashita. He took 10,000 photos whilst running across America. He was one of the guys who's run from Tokyo, from Paris to Tokyo. He'd already crossed America. He was trying to break his previous photo-taking record rather than the actual time, and I think he did that very well. I'm happy there because I've just found a shop that sold Pringles, and that's Alex in the background, not entirely convinced by my nutrition strategy. So after Missouri, we started going through some states that I heard of, basically, and started to run through some towns, which was great because everything was around. I could stop and have a drink and food whenever I wanted, but it was bad because there's just generally a lot of traffic, doing a lot of highways, and the cars aren't really ready for pedestrians or, you know, people like us running across America. This is Reiner. He won, and he won easily. He wasn't even trying, and he was doing kind of 8-hour 50-milers every day. Incredible. And he's coming over to England later this year to run from John O'Groats to Land's End, a race that I'm sure he'll easily win. This is a guy called Luca who lives in Ohio, another one of those kind of guys who just a guy I knew vaguely through Facebook, and then he just came running with me for 3 days. It was fantastic. Here's me kind of preparing for a day. It was, like I said, it was just really hard, kind of getting up at 4 in the morning, and then all of a sudden this kind of 45 minutes you've got before the race briefing just goes in a flash. No time to just drink a cup of coffee or eat enough toast and everything. You're trying to eat as fast as you can without really feeling hungry. It was quite hard work. This is Atalu. I shared a room with him for most of the time I was out there. He liked collecting things on the road. He found quite a lot of money just on the road. I think he might have been able to pay for his race just by kind of what he found on the road. And towards the end, when we got kind of Pennsylvania, it felt kind of really like we were getting closer to New York. And from Pennsylvania you're in, there's a lot of historic buildings and things in the US. We're no longer looking at all these kind of just massive tin buildings in farms and stuff. We're kind of running through American history. Gemma came out again. That was fantastic. This is a chap, John Price. He previously run across America pushing a baby jogger, basically just doing it on his own. One of the best things one of the best Facebook updates I'd ever seen was his, when he was doing a Decker Ironman, and he'd done the swim, he'd done the cycle, come off the bike to see the guy finishing the run, and he Facebooked update saying, "I've just seen the winner finish. He's a week ahead of me." Imagine that. The range of the days, the longest day I think was about 56, 57 miles. The shortest was supposed to be 26 miles, but we all took a wrong turning on a highway and added 5 miles to it, so we never did get an easy day. Although, because of our own stupidity basically, but it was averaging about 45 a day, quite less miles in the first half of the race and more in the second. So the last weeks 8 and 9 we're averaging about 50 miles a day, which at that point it didn't matter how many miles there were in the day, you just get up and do whatever's there. I was really chuffed at growing a really big trampy beard. That was one of the things that got me into this race was the promise of being able to look like a tramp, and I think I pulled it up pretty well. So that got shaved off about 3 days before the end of the race, and then Laurie came out to help me on the last 2 days with Gemma. That was a complete surprise to me. I kind of bawled my eyes out just after kind of seeing her. And I did, when I saw her and she had a car, and I said, "Laurie, that's not your car." And she said, "No, it's a hire car." And I was like, "What have you hired a car for?" Because my car's in LA. And I still didn't quite get it. And I went up and I thought, yeah, that's 3,000 miles away. She hasn't just driven here, it's a 5-day drive. I kind of just all of a sudden brought it to me just how far I'd gone. But there was a bit of drama towards the end. The last day, as the day we were running into New York, or the day after we was due to run into New York, Hurricane Irene was going to hit. And although it wasn't due till the day after, the transport system had been closed, and the thing that worried most of us was that the bridge into New York might be closed from New Jersey, Washington Bridge, and there was a very realistic prospect of us running all the way to the bridge, it being closed, and then the race finishing there, the LA to New Jersey race. It kind of wouldn't have the same ring, and for the sake of another 6 miles or something, it just would have felt like failure, just not getting over that bridge. And so I'd never been to New York before. This was going to be my first time, and I thought, what a fantastic what a fantastic way of doing it. And this was my first view of the Manhattan skyline. I can't see anything. It was raining pretty heavily going in there. We were due to finish in Central Park on, I had it built in my head as a nice sunny day and everyone cheering, that kind of thing. And in the end, we finished in a hotel foyer with a deserted New York and in the pouring rain. So this is Washington Bridge, which wasn't closed, and it never did get closed. And the hurricane in New York itself wasn't anywhere near as bad as had been predicted or feared. And so I finished the race kind of at a hotel. Not quite the dream finish that I was thinking, but as the race director kind of quite rightly said, it's not about the finish, it's about the 70 days we've experienced, and yeah, that was quite a 70 days that I experienced. And that's me done, I think, almost on time, which is unusual. So yeah, like I said, I just kind of wanted to say a few things of me. As you can probably tell, I'm nowhere near an elite athlete or anything like that. I just really love being out there running. Even today, in that wind, it was okay. Yeah, I kind of managed to do that. And if anyone has any questions or wants to consider doing something like this, by all means, give me a shout, and I'll tell you everything I know. I have a lot more to say on nutrition, if anyone's willing to hear it. So that's me done.